Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got one big headline to go over, and that is going to be an update on a China trade deal. We heard last week Donald Trump saying, hey, maybe 80% tariffs is the way to go with China. And this morning, we've got a news article to kind of tie into that. Scott Bessent announced something about a potential China deal. We've heard this before. Oh, yeah, we're in works with them. We're in talks with them. Well, this time, the market's getting a little bit of a pump off of the news. So we'll dive into it, see what's going on with that. But before we get to that, let's start you off with that stock heat map and see where things are sitting this morning, because we've got a bunch of green in this pre-market.
Step one.
Oop, wrong button there. There we go. Got that stock heat map pulled up for you. We're seeing some green, some big green numbers. Actually, we've got Apple sitting up 0.53% from its close, looking up a whopping 6.46% in the pre-market right now. We've got Nvidia sitting down 0.61 off of its close, looking up 5.03% right now. We've got Berkshire Hathaway up 0.1%. In the pre-market, looking up 1.64. We've got Amazon sitting up 0.51 off of its close. In the pre-market, up 7.77%. Nice big green numbers for Amazon. We've got Eli Lilly sitting down 2.25. In the pre-market, one of those outliers, though, sitting down 2.41. We've got ExxonMobil sitting up 1.16 in the pre-market, also sitting in the green, up 2.32. We've got Tesla sitting up quite nicely off of its close, 4.72 in the pre-market, looking extremely green right now, up 7.8. We've got P&G sitting in the red on this morning and off of its close, down 0.62 and down 0.6 in the pre-market. We've got Microsoft sitting up 0.13 off of its close, looking quite green in the pre-market though, up 1.92. We had Google sitting down off of its close Friday, 0.88. In the pre-market, looking quite green though, up 3.42. And we've got Meta, which was sitting down off of its close as well, down 0.92, looking extremely green this morning, up almost 7% right now. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things, because it's no different over there. Look at all of these green bubbles in the top 25. Got Pi sitting up 57.4%. Scroll it on down. We've got Bitcoin up 0.1% on the daily, looking a little bit red on that hourly. Ethereum holding that 2,000 range quite nicely, up 1.6%. We've got XRP moving up a few spots on that market cap, sitting up 1.9%. We've got BNB sitting up 1.8. Solana sitting up 0.6. We've got Dogecoin up 5.8. Cardano up 3.4. Tron up 3.1%. We've got SWI up 5% right now. Chainlink up 4.6, Avalanche up 3.3. There's Pi moving up 9 spots on the market cap. Quite insane on that. Taking number 14 up 57.4%. We've got Shiba Inu up 8.8. Stellar Lumens losing 2 spots because Pi had to take a more than a few spots on the market cap, but it is sitting up 2.8%. HBAR losing a position as well, down up 3.1, but looking down on that hourly, 0.7% right now. We've got Toncoin also losing a spot in that market cap, up 2.8%. Hyperliquid also losing a spot in that market cap, up 2.8%, and Bitcoin Cash losing a spot as well because of Pi, but sitting up 0.6% on the daily. For the fear and greeds stock market, still looking quite greedy. I did say that we'd probably get to that greed point, and here we are. Also getting some nice news that could potentially lead us a little bit further into greed, especially since everyone was greedy when the markets were bleeding off, and now we're getting this nice solid pump in the pre-market. Might see that tick quite a bit higher. We've got the crypto side of things with no change, still sitting in that greed, ticking up quite nicely from way back here in that neutral on last week when we were seeing the markets kind of see a little bit of some sell-off off of some maybe news, and we were ticking towards that greed. Now we're really sitting in greed as we get up to some key levels. I do have a new level marked out that I'm watching for the top side, so we're going to have to see what things are looking like on that Bitcoin chart. We do have quite a bit of liquidity that is sitting underneath us right now as we've got those big pumps towards the upside. We've got quite a bit of liquidity at 103,000. This is on that 24-hour chart. Let's scroll it on out. Take a look at that 3-day, see where those swing levels might be. And most of that is going to be on the downside as well. We'll kind of have to see if we sweep this bottom side liquidity real quick, wait for the confirmation on what this trade deal with China might be, turn some key levels into support, and then shoot back up towards the upside. Zoom that on out. That 2-week looking quite nice here as the liquidity is way down here at 93,000 and the start of the pump. So unless we see something quite drastic happening, I think we leave that liquidity open for a little while, especially since we didn't go and grab it when we had those opportunities. We are looking quite nice on that 3-month as well. Cleared out the bit of topside liquidity that was sitting about that $100,000 mark that we talked about for quite a while, and now we're just looking to see what we can turn into some support. We do have all of that liquidity still sitting at 63,000. I think we're just gonna leave it for now. That's gonna get left behind, and we're gonna look at some different levels. Let's hop over to the Bitcoin chart and say good morning to everyone, because we do have quite a few people in the chat. We've got Jesse Gluck in here first, as always, saying good morning. We've got Crypto Billy in here. Good morning, good morning. We will head over towards that morning motivational video right after this ends, so I will see y'all over there after we finish the show. We've got Moonbags in here saying good day indeed. Most definitely. My bags are looking quite nice right now. Basically just got Bitcoin, a little bit of gold. Gold isn't doing too fantastic, which is not unexpected as you see all of your traditional markets really getting that move towards the upside and your crypto really getting that move towards the upside. But it does allow me to reposition myself on a long. We've got Jay Violet in here. Good morning to you. Darren does things. I'm a little bit behind, like 3 minutes, just catching up on 2x. Well, I'll try not to talk too fast so it doesn't go too crazy on that 2x there. We've got Kyle Fields in here as well. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. Let's hop into this Bitcoin chart and see what we're looking at here on the daily. We did make that little bit of a push up towards that $106,000 range. I have that drawn from the highs back here where we got all the candle body closes. We did see a few candle body closes back in this range when we were playing on the highs on it as well. So a key level that I'm kind of watching for is that $106,000 mark. We did get a little bit of wicking action off of it here on the daily, but with how money flow is looking, it could be turned into some support. We do have all of that liquidity towards the downside on the 1 day and the 3 day though. So to come back down here, turn this 100 to 500 into some strong support before we really launch back up here would be something very nice to see. Keep things from being drugged down extremely hard if we do get up to these levels. I would like to keep a lot of that bottom side liquidity open and leave that for bottoms of the ranges. So as we get those moves up, expect a little bit of some volatility, especially since it is going to be based off of some Trump news. Let's zoom that on in, take a look at the 4 hour, see what we might be looking at for the beginning of the week here. We do have this money flow, which is looking like it's headed back towards the upside here. True 7 also getting that move back into the green here as our volume is holding quite steady here. You have a few bearish divergences here. Doesn't look like they're going to play out too hard unless we do see that nice bottom side sweep of liquidity. That would be a quick money flow change on a shorter term time frame that I will be keeping my eyes on. I'll be watching that 15-minute chart this morning as we wait for that news to come out from Donald Trump and see what kind of trade deal we're actually going to be getting with China. That's going to be the big market mover for Monday. We do have some data that will be coming out tomorrow. So a lot of data actually. That core inflation rate and inflation rate year over year, month over month. We'll dive on into that tomorrow though, because I really wanted to leave time for this China trade talk. We are seeing nice green money flow here on the 4 hour, and this is what we've been waiting to see here. All of that short-term time frame money flow starting to bleed over into our higher-term time frames. It is holding things up quite nicely. Your MACD sitting on the top side above our zero line, getting some curvature all over again as we did break below the indicator line. You've got your prime oscillator also getting that curvature back towards the upside here, sitting in light red. So let's keep watching that money flow and see when we start seeing some exhaustion. Is this $106,000 going to be a short-term resistance level, or do we get back above it and turn this into some support and shoot back towards our all-time highs on Bitcoin? We do have that 1 hour looking like you might see a little bit of a rollover this morning, and that's where you've got your MACD getting that sideways movement here with your indicator printing very small green candles here as your money flow is looking like it's stagnating just a bit. Made very equal highs with that last high here, and that prime oscillator starting to get a little bit of sideways momentum there. So waiting to see kind of what the morning brings for some money flow. We do have your volume, which is sitting quite low. Not too unexpected as we're coming out of the weekend. We're sitting in that in-between zone where Europe's doing some trading and America has not yet started their trading. So seeing some low volume here, definitely not too unexpected as we really wait for either money flow to come in or money flow to come out and sweep some bottom side liquidity. let's take a look at that 15-minute, see what the morning is bringing our way here. We did get that nice push up this morning, and then we dropped back down quite quickly towards our VWAP. We are looking like we're trying to hold that right now, but it does look like it might get lost if this money flow really keeps staying stagnant here. We do have your prime oscillator sitting in the red, looking towards the downside. MACD also looking quite the same way as we're below our indicator line. Not seeing any curvature back towards the upside here. So we'll keep watching that money flow and see if we can get that push back up towards 106,000 first, or if we do sweep that bottom side liquidity, which is sitting right underneath all of the lows of this sideways range here. It starts about right here at $103,000, goes all the way towards our support line here at 102,500. So keep your eye on that area and see if we grab that first, or if we make that nice little push up. Keep a little more money on that bottom side, keep people with some confidence, wait for Trump's announcement, and then get that push towards the downside and really turn 102,500 into some support. Tomorrow, we'll start looking at some more levels towards the upside. I did want to keep some of this morning for that Trump announcement. If anyone has any alt requests they'd like me to take a look at, go ahead, drop those in the chat now. And as soon as we get done with this news article, we will dive on into some assets, because we are seeing some nice green numbers on the charts in the pre-market, and we're seeing some nice green numbers on our crypto assets. I was going to take a look at ADA. I've got it pulled up here on my chart. So that's the first one we're definitely going to be taking a look at, because it made some nice strong support on a level I was looking at. Let me get that news article pulled up here. We've got US and China agree to lower tariffs, 90-day pause. Geneva, May 12th. The United States and China said on Monday they had agreed to a deal to slash reciprocal tariffs for now, as the world's two biggest economies seek to end a trade war that has disrupted global outlook and set financial markets on edge. Speaking after talks with Chinese officials in Geneva, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told reporters the two sides had agreed on a 90-day pause on measures and that tariffs would come down by over 100 percentage points to 10%. No, it's not very hard to slash by over 100% when you're sitting well over 100%. Both countries represented their national interest very well, Bessent said. We both had an interest in balanced trade, and the U.S. will continue to move towards that. I've talked quite a bit about that trade balance because you are seeing the United States sitting in a trade deficit of well over $1 trillion. And so seeing us kind of get back towards the average would be something nice to see. We are a consumer culture, and I don't think in the meantime we will see that balance out anytime soon. But heading back towards balance is something good to see. Bessent was speaking alongside U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer after the weekend talks in which both sides had hailed progress on narrowing differences. The Geneva meetings were the first face-to-face interactions between senior U.S. and Chinese economic officials since U.S. President Donald Trump returned to power and launched a global tariff blitz, imposing particularly hefty duties on China. So, like it's saying here, all of those other, oh yeah, we're making a deal with China, talks to kind of give some buoying towards the markets was all BS. This is their first face-to-face sit-down, and it looks like they're actually coming to a deal. Since taking office in January, Trump has hiked the tariffs paid by the United States importers for goods from China to 145%. In addition to those he imposed on many Chinese goods during his first term and duties levied by the Biden administration. China hit back by putting export curbs on some rare earth metals vital for the U.S. manufacturers and weapons and electronic consumer goods, and raising tariffs on the U.S. goods to 125%. The tariff dispute brought nearly $600 billion in two-way trade to a standstill, disrupting supply chains and sparking fears of stagflation and triggering some layoffs. Financial markets have been looking out for signs of a thaw in the trade war, and Wall Street stock futures climbed and the dollar firmed against safe haven peers on Monday. So, looking for a little bit of stability in the markets going into the beginning of this week. K Diggity says China to zero. That's the kind of energy that Trump is bringing to the markets here. You know, we are seeing the potential for a trade deal, but we're really going to have to dive into this a little bit further as the rest of the news is released, because we still are highly dependent on China. We do have other countries that we've been talking to, like South Korea does a lot of manufacturing. India does a lot of manufacturing. We do have Vietnam as well, who does quite a bit of manufacturing, and a lot of clothing is produced there. So we'll kind of have to see if we become a little less reliant on China for some of these goods and start relying on some of their neighbors there and make some better deals there as well. We are still going to need China to produce some goods, but I would like to see us be a little less reliant on China, especially when all of these countries don't have as much of a negative view on America. They are okay with that American freedom, and they're not trying to beat America out. They don't have the economy to beat America out, so they're not really in competition with us, and they'd like to see some US dollars in their market because the US dollar still is strong. Let's take a look at ADA real quick, and then we'll take a look at the Dixie. Do we have any other assets that would like to be looked at this morning? I've got about 25 minutes of which to do so. Sorry about that. We will take a look at ADA first. I had talked about 80 cents of being a level 4 ADA that I'd really like to see turned into some support, and it looks like we've got some nice candle closes here on that level. We did get that nice pushback up off of 67 cents last week. That's that area I had really talked about here that I wanted to see turned into some strong support. Got that strong bounce off of it. Look, there's not even any wick in action off of that candle. It's just a nice launch off of 67 cents back to levels we haven't seen for ADA in quite a while. It looks like we are doing a little bit of some battle with that 50% fib retracement line right now. That's 82 cents. That's a level that we're going to have to watch for the morning. I see Eric Wallen in here. Good morning to you, sir. You're normally not here for the early morning show, so it is nice to see you in here. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at that 1 hour, and see what the day might be bringing our way here. And this is where we're going to keep watching money flow for the morning on not only Bitcoin, but your alts as well. It does look like you might need to see a little bit of some cool down. We've probably got a lot of liquidity sitting back down at that 81 cent range, and that's something we will be watching for, especially since we saw a lot of wicking action back here. I do expect some some stop losses to be set underneath these levels, especially since it looks like we're losing this 50% fib line. You might see that liquidity grabbed the same way that we were looking for a bottom side liquidity grab on Bitcoin before we really confirm $106,000 as some support. I really like talking about over $100,000 Bitcoin again. It's been a while, and it's quite nice to see. We do have your MACD and your prime oscillator looking like they're seeing a little bit of a move towards the downside this morning, as your MACD is getting that rollover. Your indicator line is still pointed up, but it is looking a little more sideways here. So we'll have to keep watching money flow to see if it's just a nice brief visit below our indicator line before we get some strong curvature back up. I would like to see us turn this 50% Fibonacci into some support here, and then we can start looking at some higher levels. It's been quite a while since we've been at these levels for ADA, so we'll just kind of have to watch and see what kind of money flow we get into this project here. We do have a little bit of a zone towards the top side, which I would be looking at. Let me get that drawn out real quick, where we see the lows and the highs kind of line up quite nicely. It's going to be about 88 cents that I would keep my eye on if we do get some very strong money flow with the Trump trade deal announcement this morning. We'll kind of have to zoom on in, see what the 15-minute is looking like here, and it does look like you're starting to see the little bit of sell-off get some exhaustion here, as your MACD is curving towards the downside of our indicator line, and your prime oscillator also getting that curvature. Your volume is starting to pick up. It is looking like it's starting to see some green volume here. So waiting to see if we can really hold up these nice levels around our 50% Fibonacci, see that money flow continue to come in, as the downside action isn't very strong. It does see a quick move towards the downside, turn a key level into some support, and that's what we're watching for this morning all over again, to see if we can turn a key level into some support. I will keep my eye on Bitcoin and that money flow, and I'll probably drop a trade setup in the Discord today. So if you are not in that Discord, definitely should be. We've got a lot going on there, and I will see y'all in there for our Monday talks with Piper on our DCA strategy, because we're all looking pretty green if you've been DCAing off of that Piper plan. Let's take a look at that. Dixie, I'm not seeing any other alt requests, so we can take a little bit of some time to talk about some things. If anyone has any questions or anything like that, big for the ETS should be insane today. So after market pump, maybe, and that's definitely something to keep our eyes out for. We're seeing that pre-market pump. I would look at some take profits for some of these during the day, as we really wait for that solidifying on our US-China trade deal. Can you look at gold? Most definitely. I can definitely take a look at gold. One of my favorite assets there. And I was looking at a repositioning point on gold for a long. So definitely can take a look at gold. It should pump, but when everyone thinks it will pump, it normally dumps. Well, yes, that's that counter trade that you talk about so often there, Billy. I do expect a little more pump, just because, the markets have really been waiting for something there. But when you do see people layering on in there off of some news, that's normally a nice little time to wait for your key levels to really be hit, and then you take your profits. So I will be looking at some longs today, and then potentially looking at some shorts a little bit later into the day. We do have the Dixie making some nice strong moves towards the upside again. It has been a little while since we've been towards the upside of this line I've had drawn out. Been over a month here. We've been maintaining that golden pocket quite nicely here. I've talked about wanting to see that nice strong move to back up towards our 50% Fibonacci. That's 102, about 20 there. And it looks like we're trying to make that move back up towards it, especially off of the news. You might see that level get hit all over again. We did turn this 900 moving average into some strong support. We're seeing that nice strong launch off of it this morning. Your volume is just starting to pick up here on your higher term time frame. So we're really going to have to see if we can do some battle with that 101.80, which is where we saw all that Wiccan action towards the downside off of. I would look at that being turned into some support first before we make that move up to 102.20 there. We are seeing a little bit of some sideways stagnation here on your MACD and your indicator line as they're moving quite sideways. So really waiting to see if we get that strong money flow coming in. We are looking like you've got your prime oscillator, seeing a little bit of some curvature here. I would wait to see that kind of clip out a bit with a strong downside move before we really get that pop up though. Volume looking quite nice here on the dollar, especially after all of this news. Virtuals popped 150% last night. Caught it just. I guess we're gonna have to take a look at virtuals too. That one's been going crazy. I did a little trade off our virtuals last weekend, so definitely been a nice project to kind of hit some trades on. It is respecting levels quite nicely. We did see a little bit of some sell off on gold. I had talked about that, seeing us get that nice strong move back up towards the platinum pocket. We got that move back up towards the platinum pocket on this fib extension, and then we really saw a lot of sell off coming on in. I have talked about wanting to reposition on gold, and looks like I'm going to get that opportunity to do so. Your hourly is looking like it might see some continued sell off here, especially with how that money flow is red and pointing back towards the downside. Your volume starting to slow up just a bit here. Your True 7 has clipped on the hourly, but I would look for a little more downside. We got a clip in action here, and we clipped all over again, but money flow's kind of looking red on gold, as everyone's kind of seeing that nice strong move on your traditional markets with your stocks and your risk on assets in crypto. So definitely watching for those to kind of start stagnating just a little bit on those upside actions before I really want to reposition myself on gold. Let's take a look at that daily, and as you can see here, we did make a lower high on gold here on a higher term time frame. You've got a bit of a divergence stacked up here, and a peak seeker indicator has also shown up on gold back from these highs. So looking like it's a little bit of a downtrend here for now, as we really wait to see where we find some support. If we do break below this fib extension I have drawn out, would look a little bit lower. We do have some nice levels towards the downside at about $3,132. So that's sitting a little bit outside of our fib extension zone, but it'd be something nice to watch for. Seeing how we made those nice strong highs off of it and then really got that rejection off of that level does look like an area of interest to me. We're still 4 likes away from 100%. I appreciate you always staying on that like button there. Jesse, Pax Gold is trading on Coinbase now if you want exposure. Yes, and I did see that announced last week. I'll be talking about that with CCM this evening on HODL the Line. So definitely was talking about that about a week and a half ago. How I'd really like to see um, Eric saying, honestly, I don't think it'll retrace that much. I mean, it's not that much of a move off of our current levels here. So let's get that ruler drawn up from current price action, looking like a 3% dip. And with how we're seeing most of our stocks getting that nice strong move towards the upside, and your risk on assets getting that nice strong move towards the upside, you have been seeing some reallocations from gold into some of those markets, waiting to see what kind of a pump they continue to get. uh, I was looking at a reposition point back down here at the 236, which was $3,257. But with that lower high there, I would be looking at a higher low, and that higher low looking kind of down here where we saw that rejection point. So it is a bit of a dip, but if you take that move off of a fib retracement from our lows here and the highs there, you're talking about a little in that golden pocket bounce zone. So just something I was watching for gold. I was not expecting it to see this much of a sell-off, but it looks like money flow is also rolling over here on the daily as well. So I'll be watching that short-term money flow. All right, we see XRP in here, so I will definitely take a look at that one. We've got Shadwick Gaming in here. Might look to short real quick. And that's something I was talking about earlier. We've got a lot of liquidity directly towards the bottom side of us on a lot of these assets. So I'd look for a little bit of stagnation on the upside move, a quick liquidity grab before we really see that pop back towards the upside, and then see what kind of levels we can look at. We have $106,000 being a very strong resistance level for Bitcoin. So that's kind of that level I was potentially looking for a nice longer term short from, to see if we can drop all the way back down to about 102,500. We had XRP requested. Let's take a look at that one. Got some nice strong moves up towards that top side liquidity that we've been talking about. We got $2.42 that it looks like we're trying to turn into some support. Let's zoom it on out. Take a look at that 4 hour. See what the beginning of the week might be heading our way. We've got your MACD getting that nice curvature back towards the upside here. Your prime oscillator also getting that curvature back towards the upside. True 7 extremely has been sitting on the bottom side of things quite nicely, which is kind of what you want to see when you see those quick moves down, where your True 7 really stays towards the downside, indicates that you might see that continuation towards the upside, because the small moves towards the downside really cool things off quite quickly. You are looking light red here on that prime oscillator, waiting on some positive money flow. Yeah, liquidation heat map shows me a sweep of the lows. Yep, and that's one of the first things we talked about here in the morning. So it might not be a bad thing to take a look at least a short-term short. I definitely talked about 102, 500 towards 103, about 200 is that nice liquidity zone towards the bottom side for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the hourly, see what it's looking like here. And it does look like you might need to see the same cool off on XRP that we're looking for in the rest of our markets. We are getting that nice little curvature here on our MACD. We've got very strong curvature here on the prime oscillator, but it is maintaining that nice green as it's getting that rollover there. So potentially looking back down towards the highs of this before we really saw the rejection. Let's get that drawn out and have it be a shorter term time zone. That'd be that $2.38 that we'd kind of look for. That's where we got that nice strong rejection point off of. We got our nice bouncing off of it there as well. Nice area to really see a double bottom, confirm a macro higher low, because that's where you'd be looking back at that 4 hour. And as you can see, we have our low for the 4 hour being down here. So this would be a higher low on the macro. It would be an equal low on your shorter term time frames, but I like to focus on that macro to kind of see what that shorter term time frame might be doing. You do have that 15-minute with some bearish divergences stacked up the same way that we're kind of looking at on Bitcoin. You did break to the bottom side of our indicator line here on the MACD, printing a pretty decent sized red candle here. So just looking to see if we can turn that bottom side into some support, as we are seeing the True 7 maintaining at the bottom side on the shorter term time frame, and your volumes just starting to pick up. So seeing people take a little bit of profits and then try to reposition themselves a little bit lower is kind of what I was looking at doing for the morning as well. So definitely something to keep your eye out on, a little bit of some lower levels to see some strong support and be able to reposition yourself on. If we lose these levels, we do have very strong support down here at about $2.32. So that'd be that next little area I would kind of watch out for. We did get some nice candle body closes off of that area and some nice wick in action off of that point as well, that really launched us back towards the upside there. So definitely a level to keep your eye on. For the upside on XRP, we do have $2.52, which would be that next top side area I would kind of look for. Let me zoom that on out, take a look at the hourly so you can really see where I pulled that from. And that's where we got all of that play off of back here. We saw all of your bouncing. We got that nice strong wick bouncing off of it. We got all of our rejections off of it here. And that's where you really saw this strong rejection towards the downside off of. So $2.52 would be that next top side area I would kind of look for. Look for that $2.38 point first before you look back towards the upside there. It is a 5:26 and about time to head on over towards that morning motivational video with Crypto Billy. Let's see what else we got in the chat before we wind it on down. Got 8 minutes till Billy Goat Tales, a morning motivational mindset. Yep, and just stay here and you will be redirected directly over there. Forgot to hit the like. If I can do it, anybody can. Everyone give it a second look and make sure you're not slipping. Yeah, I appreciate that, K Diggity. Also, you can hit the dislike button twice and then the like button once, as Trade Intuition always says. It's a little bit of a hack there. All right, let's see. I'm already awake 4.5 hours, Jesse. Well, that's because you're in the future, sir. I've been awake for about an hour and a half, but it's only 5. It's not even 5:30 here. Let's see. Anything else in the chat? Oh, we had virtuals talked about. Let me take a very quick look at virtuals, and then we can send everyone over towards that morning motivational video. We got virtuals and we'll take a look at it on spot on Bybit. I don't really have any charting done on that, but we'll take a look at this naked chart real quick and see what we might be looking for on virtuals. Let's zoom it on out. Take a look at the 4 hour, see where we're sitting there. We did get some nice strong support off of that 700 moving average. Looking towards the upside just a bit. We've got a bit of a resistance zone towards the top side at about $2.72. Let me get that horizontal drawn out. That'd kind of be that first area I would watch for some strong resistance. You do have a bit of a zone directly towards the top side of us at about $2 25. So that'd be another real area to watch for on virtuals. We do have some nice levels in between that. Let me get this fib drawn out there. Looking like that's also the 382 that we're bouncing up against at that $2.25 zone. So that'd be an area to really turn into some support. That 50% is coming in right at about $2.70. So virtual's getting that nice strong move towards the upside there. All right, it is a 5:29, and we will send y'all over towards that morning motivational video. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the shows on the Piper Academy. We've got the morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's with Piper and OC. We've got trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's a great place to learn some TA. We've got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto. He did a great show last evening. So if you get the chance in between that morning motivational video and Alex O Crypto, go back, take a little quick look at that show, give them the thumbs up, and I will see y'all at the morning motivational video in just a second, and then I'll see y'all in the chats the rest of the day. Make sure to wake up, because today's going to be a volatile day, but today's going to be a good day.